and clients.
Yeah.
It's open. So, all right. So, welcome to the Blurry channel. I really
Thank
thank
you
you
very
for
much.
coming on and participating with me. As you know, this is Cocktails and Conversation, and we're going to play the three games that I have in front of me that I created to really design this game to really get to know us. Sometimes the right wording or a rephrased question can trigger a whole different answer. And then also we really need to vet people, with qualifying questions to see if this person is our person or not,
Yeah.
to help us be more intentional.
Yes.
So
That's beautiful. I love that.
I have these three games, Blurty and Y, Proceed with Caution, and Red Flag Indicator to help with that. And it's three levels to this game. I
Okay.
call it the PG-13, and Rated R version. All right, y'all overzealous people. Rated R is like soft. It's not X. So,
Okay.
all right, so I have to put that out there because most people rated R. Let me get that, and I'm like,
Hold
yeah, you
yours.
get it,
Calm
but
down.
you're probably more excited for something that is really you're not excited for, and I don't like to set people expectations in the wrong area.
Yes.
All right, so this is definitely for my blurs and people that are more intentionally looking for the specific significant other. So you and I are going to simulate a date. And as we simulate the date, we're going to uncover the things that, who you really are. We're going to cover on things that you like. And also, we're going to put this out there for this potential person that's going to slide in your DMs. We don't need many people to slide in your DMs.
No.
We just need that right one.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
That right one to slide in your DMs. And this is what we're doing it for. So, you ready?
I am ready, sir.
Ready. All right. So, what is your type?
What is my type? That's a very broad question. I don't believe I have a type, even though I think if you get me talking, I think I do. When I sit down and think of my ideal partner, I'm very attracted to leadership. And leadership comes in so many forms. So that's why I can't say it's a type. When we get into those feminist conversations, we always think like alpha, I want a really strong and this and leadership of that, but we don't realize that leadership comes in so many forms. So I just like leadership in that person's unique space. And I guess that's pretty much, my type. I'm very open. I think I'm sapiosexual, as they would say. So I'm very intrigued in the mind. So if you can, keep me in conversation, teach me, I can see you guiding me, leading me, teaching me as well. Then I think that's my ideal type right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So height, it doesn't matter. Skin complexion, doesn't matter. Age range.
Well, I try to stay in my community. I am not very fond. It's not that, outside the community, there are not some beautiful people, beautiful spirits, but I am very much in love with my community. I love my Black men and I love my Afro-Caribbean men. And,
We love you too.
Thank you very much. And I want a beautiful Black family. And so, when it comes to that, I am very in love with my community and the kings in our community.
True. All right. So age range.
Ooh, so that's so unique. Would you not say so? We're living in such a different world now. We have this younger generation between 24 and 25 that they are like stepping up because, the older generation is kind of slipping by. You have younger generation saying, girl, you don't got to work. I got 3 jobs. I'll take care of you, so, and then you have the older generation that comes with a little bit of trauma, but they are, they're so beautiful. So I think that I wouldn't go lower. I would say like 26, 27. 27 would be, I'm 32. So
see, I was taught to never ask a lady their age. I wasn't going to ask you that. Since you put that out there, you're 32.
Yes,
okay.
No, I'm very proud of my age. I love my age. I love aging. I didn't realize once you get into your 30s, it was so awesome. I would have turned 30 a long time ago.
Okay.
But, I'm 32. I think the lowest I would go is like 26, 27. There has to be a maturity level. I have a son. So, if I'm going to be dating somebody, I want it to be someone that I can look at and say, wow, I would want my son to learn from you, And so I definitely want that wisdom and knowledge for that person to be able to hold and bear in the right way. But I wouldn't go past like maybe 53, 54. And that's still really high.
Okay.
In a sense, not really, because when you think about it, age is really a number.
Just a number.
It truly is. The mindset is really important.
Okay. So you want more kids?
I definitely do. I'm a doula, so I get so jealous seeing everyone have their beautiful family. I did not, my first go around with having a baby, it was at the ideal space that I wanted, the marriage and so forth. So that is definitely something that I would love. And I would want, a couple more little ones. My father's side and my mother's side, they come from a really big family. So my dad has he's 1 out of 17. And my grandmother is like 1 out of 15, 16 as well. My dad has like 8 children. My mom's 3. So I love a big family. I'm a Caribbean woman, but I want an amazing spouse. I will not procreate again until I know that I am married and solid.
So the relationship goal is marriage for you to have another kid, or?
Yes, I cannot, I love it. I love my co-parenting relationship. I would have to say it took a while for us to get here, but it's so beautiful. And I'm so proud of the way that we parent. I'm so proud of how he dads, and I mother. But I would love to wake up every day and have my little ones at home and, have that mother and father dynamic in the home. So that's something I'm really eager to receive.
Great. This segues me to my first question. Kids or no kids, share your thoughts on parenthood and family life and the dynamic you would like.
Yes. Oh, so as I mentioned before, I would love that, mommy and daddy dynamic in the home. I'd love to have many children, of course, home births and all the things. I'm very herby like that. I wouldn't mind, even having a blended family. So if my partner does have other children, I do not mind. There's no number or limit to that. I think that human beings have their own experience and it takes time within their journey. And sometimes it takes a lot of evolutions. And if I found you in that right evolution and I happen to be the perfect partner to support you in your journey, I want to receive you with all that you come, so I don't think that there's truly a limitation to what my partner, how many children they had or how many baby moms they had. Of course, I would love to reflect and sit down with you and say, we have 8 baby moms. What's going on? Why did, how did this occur for you? And dive into that, into that conversation, but I wouldn't judge.
But you really date someone that has 8 baby moms?
Can you believe it or not? I would. I think it's the therapist in me. It's just, I understand humans on such a deep level. Of course, I would have to understand you, like, where are you right now? Are we on that same page? Are we on the same cycled behavior? And I think you can tell once you have a conversation with someone long enough, they'll let you know what their priorities are and who they are as a person and where they want to drive or where they come from and how they have evolved. So if I see that evolution, why not? My father is a man who's had 8 children, and I think my dad is an amazing man, and now he guides his family so beautifully. But if a woman would have judged him then, I think they would never have given an opportunity. So.
Okay. I mean, that's a big gulp right there. Baby mama.
I know.
A lot of women
why
like,
judge? Why judge? Tell me, Mr. Blurty, why judge?
I don't judge, but just certain people just need to stay where they at.
This is true. I would ideally, if you come with 2, that would be beautiful, or just 1 or none. I'm okay. I don't know if none, but.
So, can a leopard really change your spots?
I believe so. I do. I know. I'm the oddball out, but I truly do. I think that it's decision making. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like what we read in the Bible. It's like, forgive my sins. But, like when we think about what is sins, it's just missing the mark. It's saying I turn around, I take a 180 and I want to change my life around. And if someone says I want to go to therapy, I want to stop doing what I'm doing because I'm sick of my own crap. It gets to a point where someone smells their own crap for long enough and they're like, you know what? I just can't stand it in this room anymore, and trust me, when that person's tired enough, they will decide. And that's why I love therapy. That's why I love understanding where people come from, because it takes time. You don't know what someone's dealing with. You don't understand where they come from. You don't know their nurture, their nature. You get what I'm saying? And so when you pause to think that, if that person is showing you that, why not? I think that people can change.
So how much therapy have you done?
Oh, I have been in therapy my whole life. Unfortunately, I did not have the brightest childhood. So I was in constant therapy, which was beautiful because it did give me a really young perspective on being introspective on myself. And then throughout my early college years, I put myself through therapy. And then as I developed into my later adult years, and I had my first son, well, my only son, I needed therapy because, giving birth and having a baby and becoming a parent brings a lot out of you that you don't even realize you're ready to face, And so it even brings so many truths to your dynamic within that relationship. So you need help, you need a mediator. And so I always run to therapy when life gets way too hard and I need answers, and I don't need it from people that are going to be biased, like people that know me.
So actually this question is in the card deck. I just remember it. I don't have it in front of me. So is therapy is a must in your relationship?
Oh, yes. Yes. If I have a partner and if the answer is, when I ask, how do you feel about therapy? And their answer is, I don't need it. We need to dive deeper, because I want a partner that understands that sometimes we may need tools that live outside of ourselves. Yeah. We may not see it. We're two people who are looking from a lens, and that third lens might really bring that completion, So, and I also want to keep the focus in a relationship that I'm not fighting you and you're not fighting me. We're trying to find tools to blend two universes together so that way we can continually flourish within our individual universes together.
Don't dive too deep, you might drown. Oh, wow. Okay. That's the comment section. All right.
Okay, so I like that one.
Yeah, I got comments on Facebook as well.
Okay.
I'm not gonna read that just yet. Everybody please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that, because I do these interviews all the time, and it'd be actually some great, genuine people that's looking for love. And if you want to come on the show and look for love too, inbox me. We set up a time we could do this. But to segue to my next question, have you ever had a past relationship that taught you a valuable lesson and about what you want in a partner? And can you give us some examples?
Yes. I think all of my past relationships have given me such valuable lessons about myself. I think there was a relationship that I had that was very, very pivotal. It was during my college years. And it challenged me in so many ways, and it really transformed me. And I died to myself in that relationship. And so he was such an amazing man, and he had this amazing respect for himself that I didn't really have for myself at that time. And I didn't grow up in a two-parent home. I didn't grow up in a space where I was able to see respect amongst, a masculine energy and a feminine energy. And so in that relationship, I was a little bit, all my traumas were out, my baggage was out, I was looking messy. And he was very, I told you I'm very attracted to leadership, leadership skills, a man that's very, not stern, but gives you this very, I know who I am when I walk in a room, and when I speak, people listen. And so that was the kind of man that he was. And I remember there was a way that I was being, and he just handled me so well, to place boundaries with himself and what he was willing and not willing to do. And I think that when it comes to the relationship world, the feminine space is so, all about protection and all about, I need a safe space, and which I think is very needed, especially when we come from the 70s when women were property. But it's rare when you come to see a man that has so much dignity for himself and so much respect. And so when I went through that relationship, it really taught me how to start having boundaries within a relationship, and how I come correct to a man when I'm in an argumentative space, or I'm feeling like I'm in a space of trauma, and how I handle myself. And that's really what pushed me into saying I need therapy. Just because I had therapy throughout my younger years doesn't mean that I don't need therapy now. So that relationship really broke me open, and it saw me, I was able to see myself in the mirror for exactly who I was. And I was like, there's a lot of work to be done, because, it's almost like you find the most beautiful love, but you're just the wrong time. And so that is literally what happened, just because I didn't have the right tools to be able to cater and nurture that relationship.
Okay, you said a lot of things. Tools, you didn't know how to implement the boundaries, and you're a boundary coach, so this is fitting to ask.
Yes.
Top 3 boundaries most people lack in relationships.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So top 3 are digital boundaries. That's number 1. Oh my gosh. When it comes to relationships, people have this feeling of justification, and they feel an autonomy over someone else's digital world. And unfortunately, even if you are my partner if you do not give me permission and we haven't had those discussions, and regardless if I have an inclination or I have a sixth sense, it is not my job to give myself permission and consent to look through your belongings and your digital product. And that's really hard for people.
So do you think it should be allowed in a relationship?
I think that there should be conversations, because you can have boundaries as yourself and say, well, I don't feel comfortable being in a relationship where I don't have access to your digital property, right? And so we can dive into a healthy conversation of what that would look like and what each party will feel comfortable complying to. But just sneaking behind your back and going through your things is a form of betrayal. And it is something that someone has to then heal from. Because even if I am doing something sneaky and we go into therapy and I, let's say I'm cheating on you, you find out, you go through my things. Yes, we can heal from that. But now I have PTSD that my things are not in a safe space, that you could always do this to me again, that it's this feeling. And I think it's so much better to just confront your partner and say, I have this sixth sense that you're not being honest with me. And I would love if we could talk about, boundaries within conversations that you may be having with other people, or, relationships that you may be entertaining that you don't think may honor our relationship. You see how different that may come across versus I'm just going to take your things.
Okay. So the social media, digital boundaries, the 1, 2, and 3?
2 and 3 are physical boundaries. So physical boundaries is not just hitting someone, right? A lot of times we're thinking physical boundaries is like, oh, she punched me in the face, she slapped me, she spit on me, she did all these things. Physical boundaries can say, hey, I need you 5 centimeters, like 5 feet from me right now, because I don't feel safe, you in my bubble, in my space. Or sometimes, a lot of times, people can get very zealous in their arguments, right? And then we can go into people's spaces, and that person can say, hey, can you please leave my personal space? Hey, I said again. And a lot of times that can happen within, whether it's a feminine role against a masculine role or a masculine role against a feminine role. And so physical boundaries are a number 2, I would definitely say. That's really difficult for couples to respect.
Okay. And what's number 3?
And then number 3 is mental boundaries. So it's when we're physically oppressing our partners in how they think and operate, their belief systems. And we have this ideology that our partners are supposed to be just like us, like the twin flame. You're supposed to think like me. You're supposed to rationalize like me. If you process a certain way, maybe I'm very well at communicating and you're more of an introvert, so it takes you a little bit longer to process. I'll pressure you that your style of communication is not effective and so forth. So mental boundaries is another form that I feel that couples don't really respect.
All right. So digital, physical, mental, top 3. I agree with you. 1,000% agree with you.
Yes. I know. We got to take a drink for that one.
I'm like, damn, how many times I done crossed people's boundaries?
And you know what? I'm a coach because I know I've been on either spectrum. I understand what it's like. I'm not too much of a digital boundary breaker, because I would not want anyone to go through my things, or I am because I've moved a lot as a child. My home are my things, so I find I value my things very much. So I have a lot of respect for that. But there was times where, like I told you, I grew up in a space where there wasn't respect in the home, in that space. Boundaries were not respected. You come from a Caribbean household and it's like, oh yeah, you pay bills, you get respect, and you pay bills. So when, as tedious as that sounds, you kind of adopt that habit and that form of thinking. And so you don't start respecting boundaries within relationships. So I was in that space as well, but it took me a while to see other people establish those boundaries and realize, well, I can have a healthy relationship and not invade this person's boundaries.
Okay.
Of course, we're all humans, so we're not perfect.
So I don't know this goes against your boundaries, because typically I don't do this, but I do ask. If somebody that's watching is asking questions or watching, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. And one of the questions that came up is, she has great energy. Curious to see what she looks like.
Oh.
Can we do a full body? Can you do a full body view?
I mean, you can get full body, but
Can you stand back? Can you give us a little?
I mean, I'm wearing a little sweater here. I'm really tall.
How tall are you? 5'9"?
I'm about 5'8.5", 5'9".
Okay. All right.
Yes.
About 135, 140.
Whew. I fluctuate between 130 to 145. Right now I'm on my lower spectrum.
So I kind of got it on a all right.
Yes. And thank you, whoever sent me those compliments, for my great energy.
All right. Let's see here. She tall enough to play basketball.
I did play basketball when I was younger.
Really?
I was center. Center.
Okay. How many points you
shots.
average? How many points you average?
I can't remember. I was so young. All I know, I was in a predominantly white school. I was in Rumney, New Hampshire, and I was killing it. I was killing it.
Wow. So you was the only one up there flavoring your chicken stuff.
I was Steph Curry with the shots.
Wow, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
She might be a winner. Well, her DMs is open for the right one. All right.
For the right one. You got to know what it's coming with.
Can you say what state you're located in?
I am in North Carolina.
She's in North Carolina, y'all. So North Carolina people tap in. The right one. Come correct. You know, getting a lot of compliments. Oh man. All right. So we're gonna move on to the second deck. Is all right, we proceed?
Yes, right. That's fine. Thank you for asking. Consent is sexy, everybody.
You know, I'm not gonna ask that question. I'm not gonna ask that question. Somebody put something in Spanish. I don't know.
Ciudad, which is what city?
Are you feel comfortable saying that, or?
Ciudad is Charlotte. So
okay,
Charlotte.
All right. NC people can sit their butts down. You're gonna be in Florida real soon.
Oh wow! I did.
All right, so we're gonna ignore the comments for right now. Let's just get going. All right. So, what are 3 things that you wish someone you previously dated did more often?
Ooh. Honor me for everything that I've been through. You know, I think that everybody wants to be validated and everybody wants to be seen. But I think that in relationships, it can be really hard to not think of yourself and what you're looking for. You know, when we go into social media, we almost think that we have to have a sheet of paper and it comes with all the things that we want, but we don't really think about what we're giving to this person and how we are seeing them for what they have gone through, the wars that they have gone through. It's not just, I want, you know, a big model couple, you know, type of, you know, what would you say, reputation, but that you honestly understand the scars and the wounds that this person has so that you know how to meet them where they are. So I wish that, you know, before you see the external, before you may see, of course you need to see that first, but as you dive into the external, as you dive into what that person is, dive deeper. Don't be afraid to see that person for what they are and see how you can help that person evolve into the next level. A lot of times we're afraid to see the trauma in someone because we feel like, oh, that's a lot for me to bear. But how about if you shift your mindset and say, wow, how can I place myself in a role where I can be a positive impact in this person's evolution through their trauma? Because everyone has trauma, regardless of you have what we would deem a smaller term of a trauma or a large trauma. You know, I think that everyone comes with it. So that
would simply kind of release the burden of some of that trauma with that approach.
Yes. Yes. And you create more intimacy, so much more intimacy, you know, we dive so deep into sex, but when you understand someone's trauma, I mean, then you can really dive into intimacy and then sex becomes healing, you know? So I think that if we dove deeper into what trauma truly is for someone and seeing them for what they have survived through, it would be as the same way we honor veterans. You know, when we see a veteran on the street, we're like, thank you for what you've come through. You know, you would honor your partner so much more. You know, you would have that space of curiosity. I want to know you more, you know? So I wish my previous partners were more curious in that space rather than just having me for the moment that they saw me in.
Okay. So this is a question that's actually in the deck that I just remember off my head.
Okay.
How can someone know you more?
Oh, I would say a great answer to that question would be curiosity.
Just curious. I think curious.
Yes, that's the best way to know someone. It's to constantly be in a space of curiosity. I think our generation says dating, like stay in the dating age, the dating mindset, right? But the dating mindset is just being curious. You're curious to get to know that person. You're curious to know what your favorite color is, where do you come from, do you have, how many brothers and sisters you have. But imagine if you kept that going throughout your relationship. You know, every day it was like, hey babe, you know, have you ever gone through this situation, or what do you think? And you constantly approach your partner that way. I think it would really change the dynamic. So I think that's how you get to know someone deeper, is to stay curious.
Okay. So
You're giving me those eyes.
Curiosity kills the cat.
Oh, yes. It does. It depends on what curiosity you're going there with.
Yeah. So let me take a step back because you started off saying through the dating process.
Yes.
So when I was dating or when I'm out there dating, people have different, some people feel like they should be only dating one person at a time, or there's different titles for dating. You being a boundary coach, I just kind of gave you like a broad question.
Yes.
You fill in the blanks. Answer it.
Sure. So what I feel like you're asking is, is it okay to date multiple partners, right? Mm-hmm. Is that kind of the question that you're going around, and what dynamic does that look like? So I have a lot of different clients. And so in this day and age, we have a lot of polyamorous relationships that are coming out. We have a lot of polygamy, polyamorous, all of the things. And then just regular dating, right? I believe that as long as communication is clear mm-hmm. amongst all of your clients, amongst all of your partners, there should be no issue, right? So if I step into a space and I let you know, hey, I am in a scene of getting to know multiple, different partners right now. I'm still not in a space where I'm really certain or know that I'm selling. I'm looking for certain qualities, and, I will keep you updated on what that looks like. And I think that's a really great way to kind of isolate your intentions when it comes to dating multiple partners. So that way no one feels like they've been led on, or if they are gaining rapid feelings or feeling some really deep connection with you, they don't feel like they've been lied to, or that they are feeling something that you're not feeling, And so I do not think that there's anything wrong with that. I do think that there should be boundaries within dating. Are we having sex with every single partner? Are we kissing every single partner? You see, these are conversations that we would want to have. Not because we don't want people to have fun, right? Because we want to have healthy hygienes, right? And especially right now with STDs going rampant, people are not having really honest conversations. So many things, are you vaccinated? Are you pro-vaccine? Are you not vaccinated? These are conversations we have to have now after 2019. So these questions are really important when you're thinking of that. And let's say if you are in a dynamic that you never want to stop dating multiple partners. So let's say you are excited about having a polyamorous relationship. Mm-hmm. Again, having that dynamic. Are we having a primary relationship? And then you have secondary, third relationships? Or is there no primary and we have like a kitchen table relationship where everyone's really involved and we're just open in communication and we're okay with sharing that? You see, communication is key. It's just transparency.
Okay. All right. So we have a couple questions from the chat. Quite a few questions, actually. I'm just going to read them off real quick.
Sure.
Do you have a length of time for dating? Do you have a race preference, height preference, salary preference? Those was the quick four right there.
Well, those are good questions, right? A length of time for dating. I do believe that within 3 to 6 months, you kind of know what this person, if you're doing it the right way, right? If you have a good blueprint and you're not just having sex and just kind of numbing out, you're able to really get to know someone, and you put yourself in the right positions. I think within 3 to 6 months, you know what this person's about and if you guys have the same intentions. What was the next question?
Height preference, race preference, salary preference. We covered over two of those already.
Yes, we did. So height preference, I am a 5'8.5" gal, 5'9", and I would love a man that towers over me and makes me feel all feminine and cutesy inside, demure, the butterflies. But because I'm so sapiosexual, sometimes someone's height, I don't even see it. And next thing you know, I take a picture and I realize this person's like 3 inches shorter than me. But their energy was so tall that I'm like, wow, so I would like to say I have a preference, right? But I think that I'm blind to height, unfortunately. Sometimes I don't have a preference, but I do. All
right. So salary preference was the last
salary preference, right? So there is this saying, was it from Living Color? I think it's the TV show where she says, I want a man who has potential, and this man who has potential will never be broke because he's a man that's always going to be going for the next goal. He's going to be hustling. He knows how to put his family in position. So it's not about salary. It's truly about the mindset of the man that I meet. So sometimes you can have a man who's I've had partners who's making $200,000 a year, and that's beautiful. But were they completely in the space that they needed to be open for our relationship and dynamic, having all the tools? Maybe not so much, right? So I do not think that salary really makes it. It's really the mindset. So if my man can make money and he is eager to do what it needs to do, I'm here to make that happen. I'm an entrepreneur woman, so I know what that looks like.
Okay. And another question, which we got to circle back a little bit. To Kenya asks, how do we normalize this in dating when everybody's expecting to be healed? So I guess it's when you're talking about the healing journey, you're not fully healed, and everybody expects you to come healed.
Yes.
But,
oh man, that's such a deep question. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So a lot of my clients will tell me, I can't get into a relationship until I'm fully healed. Let me tell you, sweethearts, the truth is you will never be fully healed. We are a fully evolving human being. And so every moment as we get older, we start to remember even more of our childhood. We remember more things. We have more of an understanding. We have more maturity to really understand what has happened to us or what we have gone through. So it's a constant healing space, depending on the stage that you are in your evolution. I think that you have to have a really mature mind in front of you to understand that who I am today is not who I will be tomorrow, and who I was yesterday is not who I am today. And if you can understand and be willing to be flexible enough and have that bandwidth to stretch with me in my healing journey, and understand that I'm going to be willing to do the same for you, because you're going to show up the same way and I want to support you in that way, then that's a great mind. But if there's a mind that's sitting in front of you and saying, well, where's the work you've done? You've been in therapy for X amount of years. Where's the work? I need to see it. Give me the receipts. That may not be the type of person you want, because you don't want a person who is going to constantly kind of bring out receipts to see where you're at, but remind you of the work that you have done to be where you are today. So I tell my clients and anyone that asks me advice, show up as you are. If you don't, the worst you can say is, I can't handle this. I can't be with this. This is not what I envision. And you know what? You should gladly be like, thank you so much for letting me know that this is not what you're looking for. And I pray that you do find something that you want, So show up where you're at. Let them know that you're healing. Let them know your healing journey. And if they can't accept that, then you should be so grateful, because that person just took themselves out of the list.
I just spoke with a guy who makes 6 figures, but wants me to go half on the monthly bills with him. Oh, that leads into the next question. So Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend made that viral moment. Do I look like I go half on bills? Like, what are your thoughts? What is the financial home situation?
Yes, this is such a tricky conversation, right? I call it a hot topic.
I got my opinion, but go ahead.
No, it's a hot topic, especially in this generation, right? Feminism really did a number on this. So, ladies, if you are upset, let's go have a whole meeting with feminism. But I believe that this is why having a really great blueprint of how you date will really help you get to this stage, right? Because if you're having clear communication of the kind of dynamic that you want in your home, it will help you. Not everyone has the same ideal dynamic. I ideally do not mind either one. So I would love, a masculine leadership role in the home. And if I had to be a stay-at-home mom and, take care of my little ones, homeschool, I would absolutely love that, because I do feel, especially in the Black community, that we need to have more control of the education that we give our little ones and the kind of nurturing and food that we're feeding our families. So I wouldn't mind that dynamic. But if you want a dynamic where you feel like, as a woman, you're making enough money and your husband and you, or your partner or you, feel that you're okay with splitting, those bills and going half and half, and that's the dynamic that you feel is ideal for you both, then that's beautiful. But I do believe that the things that a woman carries in a relationship, depending on if you're in a serious committed relationship and you're thinking of building, right? So now we're in a partnership that are thinking about building, procreating together, wanting to double up their finances, all of the above, then I do believe that sometimes it is okay to take a ladder set of a dynamic where the man leads and the women, the feminine energy will give just as much. So a lot of times men feel like, well, if I'm giving this financially, I would want my woman to help me, but she is helping you so much. If you come home to a hot meal, you're not paying that. How much does a personal chef cost? How much does a cleaning lady cost? How much does it cost to have someone organize your admin work or the bills and so forth? So everyone is contributing. So when you start looking at it on a financial level, or how much is it a nanny? How much is it to teach your child homeschooling Montessori, right? I mean, just to go to a school, it's a $3,000 bill. So when you start looking at your partner as someone who is leveraging with you, you would never walk into that conversation with, I need you to pay half my bills. You're going to have a clear-cut conversation of how are we going to build as an empire? How are we going to build as a family? And then that conversation isn't about you're going to pay half the bills. That conversation is what are we contributing to the table? So the conversation shifts.
Okay, so pretty much they asking the wrong question. They need to be asking how we're going to build. What special tools and powers you have in your toolbox, and what do you have in yours? Okay, cool. This is what you're working with. This is what I'm working with. And
yes. And how do you see yourself envisioning with the vision that I have? How can you contribute to that vision? Yeah.
Most people looking at what you taking from me and not.
Yes, we have a very defensive way of being when we're coming into relationships. And what am I getting out of this? What are you going to give me? What am I going to lose? And I think that we really need to shift the mindset. Remember, this is a team player game. If you're not in a team player mindset, I think that you need to sit out on the bench and realign what you want, because this is meant for you to pour in and be poured into, not challenge each other.
So my perception, my thought and theory, I think people that played sports know how to play team better in relationships, because there's a center, there's a power forward, there's a small forward, there's a guard, there's a shooting guard.
Yes, everyone knows their role.
And usually the point guard knows the shooting guard and small forward roles. I know your play, I know your position, and I can run it too.
Yes.
So automatically we kind of, we can fill in the blanks. But then you have a lot of people that never played sports, or they play sports, but they never try to play, for school, working towards a professional role. So I think a lot of people kind of miss out on that team aspect, because everybody's still working on me, and we have such a selfish society.
Yes. But I would dare to say, what was, these are the questions again. Your dating blueprint means a lot. Are we asking the questions of what was your parental relationship? What did your parents illustrate when they had that dynamic in front of you? So you will always illustrate the dynamic of your parents, and you will always play that out. So depending on how your parents spoke to each other or how they spoke to you is how you will almost relive that relationship with your partner. So those conversations are really important when it comes to that space.
Man, listen. Yeesh.
He's like, there's a lot of info.
He got 4 kids and I have one. Oh man, thick. I don't care how many kids he got. Let's see here. Are you interested in taking calculated risks, or do you prefer to play things safe? Or scared money don't make no money. If I ever go broke, sorry.
No, I love it. I'm here for it. I think it really depends. I think you need wisdom. I think you need wisdom and discernment when you're navigating. Some things need calculated risks. And sometimes there are situations where you have rare situations, especially in romantic dynamics, where it's worth the risk. You don't really know what you may get out of it, but you feel that there is a need, that something needs to cycle through. And of course, we're not talking about abusive relationships, but it's worth, taking in that risk. And then what was playing safe though? It depends. I think playing safe is never really a great route to go. I think a calculated risk is way better than playing safe. Playing safe can have you miss out on a lot of things. And playing safe can be a form of trauma response. It could be that you're really just guarded and you're so used to losing, or you're so used to being placed in a position that you kind of want to be ahead of the game. You want to make sure that you have, you want to save your meal to make sure you have food for later. Like, you're constantly in this scarce mentality, poverty mentality. And so playing it safe, I think, is never really the route to go.
Okay. All right. Not sure if you talked about already, but would you date someone with multiple kids? Yeah, she said she'll date someone with 8 kids, 8 baby mamas.
No.
8 kids. 12.
I said that I am very flexible and I'm very open, so I am no one to judge someone's past, as long as we're able to have deep understanding conversations of that dynamic.
So I got to ask this question, couple questions.
Okay.
Are you into astrology? What's your love language, your top 2 love language? And if you are into astrology, what are you most compatible with?
Yes. So I'm not into astrology.
Okay.
I do believe in, the constellations. We live on the Milky Way galaxy, all of the things. But I am not believing that because I'm born in July that I'm a Leo and I have all of these traits. I do believe I have some of those traits. but I don't really go by them. You know, I don't think that there's someone more compatible based off of that. I think it really has to do with maturity level. I've met many Capricorns that are supposed to be my best friend, and they're limited in certain spaces, or they're just really amazing, you know? So it's a hit or miss. What was the second one?
Any Capricorns watching? I know you in there.
Right.
What's your love language?
Oh, love language. So that one's difficult because I feel like we are so versatile that there's so many things that we love, you know. I'm very big on physical touch, you know. Physical touch was a number one love language for me before. And then my second one was words of affirmation. But I feel like I love a little bit of everything. Who doesn't like, you know, gift giving? And I'm not really into like buying me gifts. I'm more of a DIY person. So if you do something and it took you energy, then to me, that's beautiful versus you go to a store, a restaurant, it's like glamour. So that's kind of, but those are my love language, I always say.
Okay. All right. We have another comment in the chat, but I think I might want to ignore that one for now. Oh, man.
You have a lot of blurry activity going on.
Yeah. All right. Before we move into this red card, Jack,
okay.
Is it okay to play this too next?
Sure, as long as we dive deep into education.
All right. I don't know that comment right there at the bottom is deep and dive into education. I don't know that one. That last one. Yeah, you can read it out loud if you choose.
I can't see the comments, so I had my iPad here, but
it said, does body count matter?
Does body count matter? That's a good question, right? I think sexual health matters, you know. Let's talk about that. I think body counts matters as in, again, let's dive deep into the past, you know. What was your relationship with sex? I think that's a better question. You know, were we very promiscuous because there was a need that needed to be fulfilled, or was it just because we didn't, you know, we felt like we had a need that needed to be fulfilled? Why, if there was very little time between your sexual partner, between your other sexual partner, why is that? You know, what was the need to have such consecutive partners back to back? And then it would then go down to sexual health, you know, like when was the last time you've been tested? What does that look like for you? How in touch are you with your sexual health? You know, I'm big on that since I work with the vagina all day. So, you know, I am big on sexual health and how you have sex etiquette, all of the things, you know.
I was about to ask a crazy question.
No, sure. Go ahead.
No, I don't think I should ask that. Yeah, we're going to bypass that one. She said, would you even ask about body count?
I wouldn't ask about body count. I think that that's not, you know, I'm hoping that if you're in front of me, you're in a space of having a really committed relationship and you're ready to be in this space, right? And that should matter. So I wouldn't really ask. I would frame my question as, what is your relationship with sex? You know? Do you have a healthy dynamic? Are you addicted to porn? You know, do you have a realistic view of sex? Do you see sex as something that's just pleasuring to you? Or is it something that you can learn and heal with your partner? Do you see it as something that you can just kind of escapism, a dissociation, that you kind of just want to have sex and kind of just forget, you know, the realities of your life? And so that would be my questions. I would frame it in, what is your relationship with sex and how does it affect your day to day?
You know, I haven't, maybe this is kind of off topic, but not off topic. You're not a sex coach, are you? No.
I think boundary coaching is coaching within all dynamics and frames, you know?
Well, maybe I should rephrase it. You're not a pleasure coach.
Not a pleasure coach, but when I work with my pregnancy clients, we do speak a lot about sex, as sex changes when you're pregnant. So we talk about different positions that are great for you during those times. What does that look like and what healthy sex looks like? So I'm really, I coach on sex.
Okay. Potential clients, or DMs is open.
Yes. And if you go on boundaries_coach, you will see my link and you'll be able to create an appointment through there.
All right. So, red card. Is it acceptable to discuss issues within your relationship with your friends or family, or do you believe in keeping matters private?
This is a hot topic again. I believe that there has to be respect and honor in your relationship. You know, the more things stay in-house, the better. Why is that? So I do not believe when it comes to your therapist, when you have a coach, a relationship coach, they should be fully involved. These are people that are not biased. These are people that are here to truly see you win as a relationship and as a couple. Now, why should we refrain from discussing our our relationship status or relationship dynamic with our friends and family is because, one, they see you in a very different way. And so the way that they see you can be in a very protective manner, and they feel like they have to protect you from your partner. And when you are married or you're in a committed relationship, you guys are one. So you guys are moving as a unit. And so there is no I am against my partner. Is me and my partner are going through these challenging challenging situations or circumstances. And sometimes friends can't understand that. Or we have friends who've never been in a successful relationship and they're trying to give relationship advice, and their advice can look a little bit like, girl, you need to let that man go. And little does she know that this man is dealing with insecurities. He never had a father to show him how to be a man and lead in a way. He's struggling with, not feeling like he's up to reaching the levels of dynamics that he needs to lead her as a woman. There's so many questions that we could dive into before we say goodbye to a relationship. And so I think when it comes to our friends and our family, they're very quick to do the cutoff culture habit. And I think that we need to go to someone who is for our relationship and not just for us.
Okay. All right. Another comment from the chat. Who is responsible for the climax?
Who is responsible for the climax in the sense of a sexual interaction? Both parties, right? So I believe the party who is receiving the pleasure should be aware enough of their body to understand how their body works and the things that they like and the pleasure that they like to receive. And that they should have clear communication and good communication to relate that to their partner, depending on where they are. Are we having a quickie? Are we in a space that we just want to get an orgasm? Or are we in an exploratory space with our partner? And so the other partner has to understand, are we in a pleasure-giving space? So if I'm in a pleasure-giving space, I want to, of course, make sure I'm a very much part of that climax and my partner is engaging with me. Remember, because we're never doing something just for us. Sex is something that we contribute to both of us. So I think both parties are very much in charge of climax.
I'm not going to ask that question. I'm not going to ask that question. It's getting off.
He's like a little bit too much, a little too raunchy.
Yeah. It's the Hennessy. Sorry.
Oh, yes, that's right. A staple drink. I'm talking crazy.
I'll let the comment section do the...
Bring it up. I got you.
All right. If you're planning a wedding, right? How much did the man spend on a ring? How much overall you'll spend on a wedding?
Yes. Oh, I am the wrong gal to ask this question to. I am so unmaterialistic. So I truly do not find any benefit to spend so much money on a wedding. It is truly a very capitalistic system that has been created.
Cheers to you.
During the slavery times, we created marriage certifications to create a legal way to kind of maneuver around the slaves and who they were marrying off and breeding. And so I don't really partake to that vision. And then capitalism came around, and then we had every kiss begins with K. And so we started to fall in love with the ideology of I need a ring that is the size of my 3-month salary or 3-month rent. And all of that only puts your man or your partner in a financial situation or in a financial stressful situation, or just in a space where you're really honoring other people other than yourself. Sometimes you're in a wedding and you're hosting more like other people than you are truly enjoying it. So in my ideal, in my perspective, I wouldn't mind something very simple, even getting eloped or doing something simple through the court. You sign it off and you go, you have a beautiful honeymoon or something, not too glamorous, something not too crazy. And then you put that money into a beautiful home or real estate property. And so I'm a person who just thinks about building and how can I make my family dynamic better? Because this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I think that when you get to your golden era, those golden years, we've made it 15 years together. We made it 10 years together. That's when I want a big glamour. Give me all the things.
20 year.
Yes, we have something to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Inexpensive wedding. Nothing. No crazy ring.
No, I'm really okay. Right. You can take it off if you want to cheat. So what's the point?
Okay. You know what? Speaking of cheating, how do you handle cheaters in your relationship? Do you give them a second chance? Do you one and done? Have you ever been cheated on?
Yes. Oh gosh, this is a great conversation. I love this question. So I was in a relationship. We're great friends now, actually. But I was in a relationship where this man could not stop cheating on me. He cheated on me every other day. I couldn't. And we lasted a good 3 years. I love that man very much. And he was going through a lot during that time. I think that it was a really difficult dynamic for him to understand because he had a parental illustration, and what was given to him was sort of what he was doing. So he didn't know what to do other than what he was doing, and we were really young. He didn't know how to express himself and what was going on in his mind as a man. And we were trying to play house. So, it was a lot going on there. I do believe that you need to have discernment. Again, discernment is huge. You need to know, is this person really willing to have conversations? Are they willing to go to therapy? Are we willing to dive into this space? I don't think that in my perspective, if someone cheats on me, I'm not full blown, let's go hoorah on you. I'm going to sit down and say, I don't disrupt your digital boundaries. I give you so much safety. I'm very open. What's going on? What happened? Where did I not meet your needs in this space? Is there something that's happening in this relationship that you felt that you needed to find something elsewhere other than our safety and our space? And if there's no really answers there, and there's nothing to dive into, then I'm separating, not because this person's a cheater. I'm separating because this person doesn't know where they are. They're not understanding the dynamic that they want, because sometimes a person's cheating because they feel like, I'm not meant to be in just a monogamous relationship. I feel like I want multiple relationships. So you communicate that, right? You say, I feel like I evolved past monogamy, and I feel like I'm able to handle multiple romantic relationships. So then we talk about that, right? But sometimes we are doing that because we don't feel enough. Maybe our partner is not validating us in our way, and we feel like this girl, she's my work wife, and she knows how to really throw in those compliments. And she cooked me dinner the other day, and I'm feeling super loved, and I'm feeling super seen, and my wife hasn't done that, and we just had a newborn baby, and we're not touching, and we're not communicating, and it feels really cold. You see, these are conversations we want to have. So I don't think that once a cheater is always a cheater. I think that we need to have these conversations and really dive deep and see, okay, is this a trauma response? Is there something going on? Are you a neurodivergent? Are you bipolar? Are you having a episode and it's, are you a nymph, right? These are conversations that we need to have and we shouldn't be ashamed of. And I think if we as partners created more safe spaces, our partners would be more open, and they would be more open to talk about these things, and we would have healthier dynamics of relationships versus grabbing the camera and shaming your partner and doing all of the things. And then you look crazy when you're back with them, So I think that open conversation can heal so many things.
Yeah.
So many things.
All right. We've been on for an hour. I could keep going. You want to keep going?
Oh, it's so good. Going? I love these questions. I could do this all day.
All right. I gotta ask, because you live 3.5 hours from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And a lot of Atlanta guys are migrating to Charlotte.
Oh, really?
Would you date a bisexual man?
Would I date a bisexual man? That's a very interesting conversation. We would have to have some deep conversations. So what is this? I would want to know if this person knows themselves. Do they know their sexual preferences, their dynamics? Are they a person that says, I don't know who I am, I kind of just go with the flow. I don't feel comfortable with that kind of person who expresses themselves in that space, because at any moment it can feel like the rug can just be pulled from beneath my feet and we're in a whole different dynamic. So I would need to know, do they understand themselves fully? Number two, where does that feeling of attraction for male attraction comes? Let's dive into that, right? So there's nothing wrong, I believe, of how you express yourself as a human being. But let's talk about the traumas. Are we relating to a masculine energy? What was your relationship with your parents? Where does this come from? Was there ever any type of, sexual assault, sexual abuse? I would want to dive into that deeply, and then discuss, what do you find in a masculine relationship and what do you find in a feminine energy relationship, and why would you be interested in both? And then what does that look like for you if you are in a primary relationship with a feminine energy? Do you want to be in that long term, and do you want to procreate with that person? If not, what does that look like?
So if a man comes to you and want to open up the relationship, have you in, I guess, polyamory?
Yes. Yeah, so that is a really great question. So, of course, I am a faith believer. When you look into the Bible and you look into different things, you see, multiple polygamy relationships, right? And so I do have a very flexible and open mind to polygamy type of dynamic relationships. I do believe that if a man is able to sustain a household and have multiple relationships, but be able to sustain each relationship on an equal level, both financially, mentally, and spiritually, then he can grow that family, right? There's a uterus that can only grow a baby 9 months. My husband can have babies multiple, right? He can keep going. And so I believe with a accurate conversation, clear boundaries, therapy, right? We're talking all of the things. We have a foundation. This is not a unicorn party. I'm here to entertain myself, or here to entertain you, or here to spice things up. No, we're building a family dynamic. This person may carry your child one day. This person will mother my child with me. That kind of relationship and dynamic, I am very eager to have a conversation on. Yes.
Okay. How often do you find men that want that dynamic, and they can't even meet up with two of the 10?
I feel like every man comes up with me with that, and they're like, how do you feel? And when I start asking them the questions, they do not know how to respond or show up. So I think that a lot of men have this beautiful fantasy, and I can understand it. Women are beautiful. We have very curvaceous bodies. We have so much to offer, and there's so much beauty. I mean, that's why sex was created. Sex was a place of healing. It's a place of giving. It's a place of pouring into, you know? And so why not? When you have something good, you want more of it. But the reality of it, as somebody who works with the vagina full time, it comes with the universe, right? So the vagina doesn't just come, I insert it and I have a great time and that's it. It comes with a role and a responsibility. And so there's hormones involved, there's attachment, there's verbal contracts, there's bodily contracts. If I have a child with this person, then there's another contract, right? So we have to have really good conversations, but men, I do think that they have more of a fantasy surrounding this conversation versus a realistic point of view of, I make this much a year. I could sustain 3 women at best, and I am emotionally healed to be able to support 3 women emotionally while they're going through their phases, their moon cycles, while they're having my baby, while they're cultivating life, while they're leading my family, right? While other women, they have different skills. So how do I honor my wife, my primary wife, who's great at dynamic of the household, but my other wife is great at financial dynamic? How do I make them both feel seen? You see, how do I have healthy conversations, argument styles, all of these things? You have to be very mature to have that kind of relationship. And I don't think half of the people that have this kind of...
That's 2% of men.
Yeah, that's 2%. I would give it 2%, 3, maybe 3, but 2% for sure. Yeah.
I have a lot more questions in this red deck. I kind of just want to reserve those. So I feel I'm going to have you back on a lot more.
I would love to.
I have so many questions for you. Let's start off. What do you prefer in your relationship? You prefer transparency or honesty?
In my relationship? Transparency.
You prefer transparency?
Yes, because honesty, you can still hide behind certain honesties. Like I can give you a part of my honesty, but transparency is I'm showing up to this raw naked. I need raw naked because we can get to all the little crevices and little things that you feel that you don't want to show me if you come to me transparent and raw.
The last woman I asked that question to, she said both.
Yes.
So you can't handle both.
No. You need to start with one. Like, yeah, either you want honesty and then we get to transparency, or you get transparency and we lead to honesty. Yeah. And I love transparency so much more.
Okay. That's what's up. Yeah, because I'm honest to a point. Because you can hurt people's feelings.
Exactly.
Coming back.
And you can have a guard up with honesty. Yeah. I'm going to give you this much. Yeah. You're being honest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But are you being fully transparent?
Now, transparency is like, I'm going to say it, all of it. Whether you like it or not.
Yes, I'm showing up fully.
Even if you didn't actually hear it, I'm going to give you all. And most people run from that honest, that transparency. They run from it.
That's why a lot of relationships start to fall apart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Which forces me not to be so transparent.
Yes. You have to be careful because not every safe space is a safe space to be transparent. Yes.
So how do you determine if the space is really safe?
The person will let you know based off of their character. The person will let you know based on how they approach you and how they create that safe space for you, right?
So you got a breadcrumb it, throw out little testers?
Sure, yes. You want to continue to place yourself in situations where you want to see how this person reacts and how do they, what is their perspective on the dynamic of that type of conversation, right? What does that person do when you come to them with a fault? You're making me feel this way. Does that person receive you with defensiveness or, wow, babe, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. How did I make you feel that way? You see, there's a curiosity versus you saying this and I need to defend myself. And so, you truly can see if that person's able to have a safe space. If the person is more about taking care of themselves and making sure that they have show good face, 9 out of 10, they're not going to create a safe space for you because they're so worried about being accepted and seen and validated that they're not seeing that they're not creating a safe space for you. And even if you do say that, it can even come off as accusatory, and they might even go in a more combative space and energy.
Okay. All right. I have so many questions to ask you.
Oh no, it's okay.
I could continue unpacking that one. I could go on to the next question. What occupation you won't date?
What occupation would I not date?
Yeah.
A porn star. I would not date a porn star only because of the rigorous work. It's too many bodies that they're sharing themselves with. It's real work, that they're doing. It's a lot of trauma too that these people are receiving on a sexual level, which can be very, very deep. I mean, you're talking core, deep issues that they're receiving that they can bring into your bedroom, into your family dynamic, and they can lose themselves within their job and themselves. Then that would lead me to the second occupation, which is an actor. I used to be an actress, and I understand how heavy it is that you have to lose yourself in a role. And at times you can lose yourself so much that the mind can take some time to trigger right back into reality. And that can really trigger mental issues that are already underlying. So those two, I would say occupations I would really kind of drift away from.
Okay. No porn stars.
No, it's a lot of it's the trauma work. If you look up documentaries on pornography and porn stars and the work that they have to go through. I mean, it's not one set, it's like it's like shot 15, shot 16, and they're getting like grazed and their penis is burning and their vagina is numbed out. This is deep work that they're doing, and literally deep work. So, I do not think that I would want that, because then when my man comes home and I've been waiting for him, he's exhausted. He's like, yeah, I came like 15 times today. Like, I don't have it for you, baby. So I think that's really intense. That's too intimate.
This is for my fellas. What is a gift a woman would get a man that's equivalent to flowers? And the answer can not have anything to do with sex.
A massage. A massage is like flowers. I really feel this way. A massage, a great meal. I really think so. I have, I don't know if you've ever had a woman really take the time to be able to set up a beautiful space for you. The reason why is because I think that men are always looking to be validated and to be seen. The work that I've done this X amount of work. I poured in this much, I brought the bacon home, babe, and they want to feel that way. And I think if we're not doing sex, I think men are very into touch still. That is kind of how they express themselves. They find a space where they can kind of relax. The world is really tough. There's a lot of responsibility. There's things they cannot share. They can't be vulnerable in. And I think a massage really brings all of that out. There's intimacy, there's touch, there's vulnerability, there's ability to be tired, to be exhausted, to look and feel that way and not have to feel like I have to play a part. So massage is just as beautiful as bringing flowers.
Okay. A massage. Not to the Chinese massage.
No. That goes with happy endings. And that if we're in partnership and if you're my husband, baby, I got you. You don't need that. Right?
All right. Oh man, happy endings. All right.
And that's another thing, the happy ending is just as important. So I think for men, sex is very different. So I think that would be like flowers as well. So if there's no sex, of course, massage, a great meal, foot massage. I'm talking full body, from the cranium to the feet.
All right. Okay. This one for the ladies. All right. What is the difference between a woman wanting to be a wife versus a woman that just wants a husband?
Ooh, let's talk about that one. That was a really deep conversation. One wants status and validation. I mean, look, Mr. Blurty, it keeps coming back to the same thing. It's validation and wanting to be seen. So a woman that wants just a husband, she wants the validation to say, I am a wife now. I made it to this goal and I have something to show for it, right? A woman that wants to become a wife understands that she's dying to herself. She's saying, I am willing to get into a space of submission. I want to be in a space that I want to honor and nurture my family. And I am at a space maturity wise where I'm willing to see myself for who I am and what I can offer, the things that I can work on so that I can make my partner a better person. So I can be my partner's helper. So I can be the person that helps my partner evolve into what they're meant to be. So one is of service, of giving, of pouring into, and another one is I got a ring. Can you see me?
Wife, it's a wife, it's a fiance.
Yes. So there's a huge difference there in a mindset. So a lot of times you'll see the girl that is so excited to get the ring, the status, she's more dependent on what she's looking like, what that wedding is going to look like, what is that going to offer. and she may not be as giving, and she's more paying attention to what she's going to receive out of this interaction and relationship, versus a woman who is willing to be a wife. She is really isolated on what she's able to offer into this relationship. And I hope it's the same way for a male, in the masculine energy. The difference between a husband is a man that just wants a wife. He's looking for the trophy wife. I just want to make sure she looks good. I want to make sure she fits the vision that I have for me, right? That's usually a man that's just looking to get a family, right? Just get a wife. Then you have the man that's saying, I'm addicted to pornography and I need to stop that in order to have a better intimate relationship with my future wife. I need to work out so that I can keep up with my children. I want to get a better financial space, not because I want money and cars, but because I want to create a safe environment that my wife can be fully feminine in. You see the difference of the mindset.
Listen, I could have you here all night. It's 11:05. This live is about to cut off soon because Instagram is like an hour.
It's been so beautiful.
Yes, it has been. This really has been. I want to open this up for the chat. Any last questions for the chat? You want to have put your questions in there?
Yeah.
Please hurry up so we get to it because it's getting late. I gotta go to work in the morning.
I know. I love the energy. I love this conversation. I can do this all day.
Me too, actually. We should actually have a live podcast one day. Like, actually go to a studio.
Yeah,
really,
yes, that would be beautiful.
And to all the people that's watching, remember, follow me, Brody.app, all social media platforms. Please follow the Boundaries Coach. All right.
Yes, please do. Book an appointment. My first consultations are free. And I create beautiful programs to be able to help you implement and set healthy boundaries so that your relationships can flourish.
Okay, we got a question. How will you deal with a partner that wants to communicate, but can't find the right way to communicate?
So it sounds like this person may have not been able to grow up in a space or has seen healthy dynamic of communication and have been able to be exposed to language. A lot of times we have feelings and we have things that are happening inside of us and we don't know how to process those feelings. We never were given the tools and we don't have the language. So I would really advise to go into therapy individually and together. Why? When we're together, sometimes we prioritize the relationship so much that we lose sight of our individual healing. So that's why it's really important to also go into individual therapy so that person can freely speak about their insecurities. Where did this begin? Where did this start? Where did they feel that they lost their voice? Maybe they don't feel that they have a voice. And a question I would ask you, are you giving them the safe space to communicate, right? Is there a dynamic where we're coming into the communication space with already an expectation? Or are we going into this dynamic of communication with curiosity? Babe, what is it that's hurting you? Or what is it that's bothering you? And how can I help you communicate with me? And this doesn't have to happen during the moments where we're irritable, where we're annoyed, where we're in the argument, right? We want to have these conversations during date night. We're watching a movie or, it's a cute moment. We're hugging, we're kissing, and we can say, hey, babe, I want to ask you a quick question, fun little moment. So you guys can get to know each other and say, I noticed last time we were in an argument and you didn't have the communication or the verbiage. What are some ways that I can help you in a moment like that if we ever do find ourselves in that space again?
So. Any other questions?
I hope that helped. And then always reach out to me on my DMs. I love to break down conversations and questions. And if you're someone who needs an appointment and just, says, I'm having trouble in my relationship, communicating and implementing boundaries, I'm here.
Great answer, great guest, great host. Oh, thank you, Takenia. We love how you do it. We love you back. You put the hearts in there.
Yeah. Right. The heart comes out if you have an iPhone.
We love you too.
That's TT. Right. Valerity.
That's right. No, it's been real. It's been good. Oh, hold on. She was preaching. No cat. Her future husband going to be a lucky guy.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
I hope
it took me a while to get here. Trust me, there was many beautiful hands that were a part of this.
I hope he's ready. Yeah. If you want to pick up the card game,
Yes, you guys.
Giannis review of the cards, the questions, what's your thoughts? Scale 1 to 10.
I absolutely love these questions. I think that anyone who has been a part of this entire table talk that we've had, you've been able to see these questions. I 10-10 recommend it as a boundaries coach, as a relationship coach. These are questions that you want to really ask. These are questions that you want to dive deeper into, especially if you're thinking of being intimate with someone, especially if you're looking to, to have a serious relationship and grow and multiply with someone. These are great conversation starters. I love it. And it helps you stay deeper within the basic level. You know, a lot of times we're just right here, surface level, and we don't get any deeper. So this is really amazing. And I loved it. These are great therapy questions. These are great. It helps you think outside of the box, questions that you won't even think about.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another interview. Here we have Leslie Clark of Camden Publishing. All right. I am pretty sure she's an awesome author, and that when you read one of her first books, you will be instantly captivated. So go ahead, Leslie, introduce yourself to, the crowd or the would-be crowd, and, potential readers out there that might happen upon this interview, and, what's up to people on the replay. And go ahead, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and what you write and things of that nature.
Absolutely. So thank you for having me first and foremost. So as Josiah mentioned, my name is Leslie Clark. I am the owner and CEO of Camden Publishing. And ultimately, our main focus is around children's books. So I haven't gotten to any of the adult literature yet. It's on my to-do list. But right now, my focus is on children. And so as a new mom, wife, and also a bonus mom, I saw that there were a lot of gaps in some of the literature being provided to kids. And so I wanted to kind of fill that void. And so I'm a problem solver, engineer by trade. That's what I do. So I saw a problem. There were topics that I was looking for that I didn't see available. So I was like, well, I guess, Leslie, you got to write about them. So that's ultimately what I've been doing. And just recently, we've made the pivot, which I'm super excited about, is now that we have our kind of author coach, our author consultant business. And so I've been able to help other authors get published as well. A lot of times, self-published doesn't have to look self-published, and it doesn't have to be complicated. So our focus is getting aspiring authors from ideation to publication like myself.
Oh, nice. Now, out of curiosity, what kind of engineering do you do by trade? Environmental. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. All right.
Yeah, so currently I work as a sustainability program manager. So green Captain Planet, All
right. Got you. All right, Leslie. So what inspired your first children's book? What was the thing that got you into writing? You mentioned it, but what really inspired you in terms of children literature is the way to go. This is my calling. What inspired that in the first place?
Absolutely. So I've always been just big on reading, since as far as I can remember. And so me making that transition has always been in the back of my mind, but I never really had the time to do so or carve out the time to do it. And so when I got pregnant with my son on maternity leave, so I had a lot of time, so to speak, without just making sure he was alive, making sure that I was good. But what kind of really sparked it was my bonus daughter was asking a lot of questions. She was like, hey, she was only child. I'm the baby. What does that look like? You said I was your baby. Now you're having another baby. And so she had a lot of questions. And so I started looking for books about blended families, transitioning, families growing. And so I didn't see anything that represented my family, what my family looked like. There are a lot of animal stories. There are a lot of adoptive or foster family transitions, but there wasn't anything about what our family dynamic looked like. I came from a blended family. My husband came from a blended family. I have a lot of friends who are in a blended family. It is now the majority family type. The nuclear family, it still exists, but it's a minority at this point. So where is that content for these families? So I tried to think of it as kind of chicken noodle soup for the soul, kind of aging myself, but that's what I kind of grew up on. And there was nothing for these kids. And so I thought that it would be a service to kind of do something. And so it started with the blended family series. And so we talked about my brother is my brother, my sister is my sister, just to kind of talk about that dynamic. We don't use step, half. That's your brother. That's your sister. And so we're talking about summers with dad, double Christmases, Santa goes to two different houses. What does that look like? Those whole dynamics that blended families have to go through. My goal was that the adults who tend to be the problem starters in these issues, in these family dynamics, could read these books to the kids and take themselves out of it and see that, hey, maybe I'm being a little bit too antsy about this, or maybe I'm being too dramatic in this regard, because the kids just want to be kids. They just want to love on their siblings. And a lot of times, most of the issues with blended families come from the adults. So I thought if I could, almost how Pixar drops nuggets where it's really for the kids, but it's adult content, but how that kind of works. That's what my hope was, to write these blended family series of books that give the kids representation. So they see families that look like them, but then also as the parents are reading it, they're like, hey, I guess we can have a healthy blended family. I guess we can focus on X, Y, and Z. And if you've ever talked to, and I'm sure you talked to a lot of authors, but once you pop the fun don't stop, it's like Pringles. So that was my first book. And then it just kind of avalanche from there. So.
Okay. Got you. Now that's actually the first time that I've heard the terminology blended families. I know what it means. As soon as you said it, I know what it meant, but that's the first time I've ever heard that terminology and became aware of that, dynamic. And correct me if I'm wrong. I want to make sure that my assumption is correct. meaning that, like adopted children or children from different parents, just coming together and,
Absolutely. So, yep.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So my husband had a daughter before we met. And so that's where that came from. And so we are also looking to expand, because blended families doesn't necessarily mean kid from previous relationship. It